We had made plans to sit outside the cafe, have a cup of coffee, and a quick Bible study. But that day, Jesse and I learned that God can change ordinary plans into life-changing events. We finished our last sips of coffee and closed our Bibles when a woman and her 2 dogs walked up to our table. We invited her to sit down. We didn't realize how life-changing that conversation would be. It was tough to know how to begin, sitting across from a complete stranger, trying to think of how I can share the love of Jesus. Jesse and I had been led here for a reason, and now that reason sat across from us. Here was this woman, running, lost, and scared. Our stories weren't identical, but we shared common ground. So when I spoke, I started with what I knew. I started with my testimony. I began my story by telling her how I felt like I had no control over my life. I was afraid and began to run. That fear brought me down roads I never thought I would travel. I shared with her that I was brought to a place where I was willing to do anything to get that sense of control back. It's in those moments where God makes himself known to us, where he shows us we are never alone. He shows us that no matter where we go, no matter how far we run, he is always with us, always calling out to us, longing for a relationship with him. After I shared my testimony, she was very receptive to hearing about God. She began to ask questions about Jesus. God really saw us through that conversation. Whenever I was unsure of how to answer her questions, Jesse would step up and have just the right words to say. We both knew this was no coincidence, and after several hours of conversation, we had the opportunity to lead her in a prayer of salvation, and she accepted Jesus into her heart. After we ended that life-changing prayer, she asked us if she could pray, and we were more than happy to oblige. She told us it was the first prayer she had ever said. It was short, however, it was one of the most powerful prayers I had ever heard. It was powerful because she accepted Jesus as her Lord and Savior that day. Before she left, Jesse gave her a card from the church so she could get connected. He also gave her his own personal Bible. 2 weeks later, she had written on Facebook about our meeting and how God was working through her. It was amazing to know that God had used us to help this woman come to know Jesus.